Thursday afternoon, October 11, 1923, the 41st Annual Convention of the Wayne County Women's Christian Temperance Union was held in Wooster. As reported in the Daily Record on October 12, 1923, quote, "The main feature was the 50-year jubilee in honor of those crusaders who went forth in their local saloons a half-century ago and routed out the liquor demon," end of quote. 3 of the surviving crusaders took the stage, Mrs. Elizabeth Smith, Mrs. Isabella Yocum, and Miss Nanny Tottum. They shared some of their recollections. Quote, "On the 24th of March, 1873, the Crusade movement reached Worcester, and the first meeting was held at the Old Christian Church on the corner of South and Walnut Streets. For 3 weeks, all-day prayer meetings were held, and then, on the first Wednesday in April, the volunteer band of 80 women made their first visit to the saloons. The band was divided into 4 groups. At the square, half of the company marched east and half west. Men stood with bowed heads before the marching spectacle of these women who were braver than they in the fight." End of quote. Isabella A. Ross was born October 10, 1840 in Holmes County, Ohio, to Randall Reynolds and Eliza Boone Ross. Her father died when she was only 4 years old. She graduated from Vermillion Institute in Hayesville, Ohio, which was the first institute of higher education here in north central Ohio. It was incorporated in 1845. Following graduation, she returned to Holmes County to teach. In 1860 census, she was listed as a school teacher residing in Salt Creek Township, Holmes County, Ohio. Several years later, she relocated here to Wayne County. In the 1870 census, she was listed as a school teacher, and she was residing in East Union Township. In 1872, she began teaching grammar school here at the Worcester Public Schools. Later that year, December 25, 1872, she married Charles M. Yocum, a well-known attorney and a graduate of Vermillion Institute. Isabella continued to teach for several years after her marriage, although this was not the widely accepted practice of the day. Isabella was well known in Worcester and served the community in many ways. In 1894, Ohio passed an act granting women the right to vote in school board elections. 1 year later, through much persuasion from many of her acquaintances, Isabella ran and won a position on the local school board. She received 737 votes. She was endorsed by many organizations, including the newly formed Women's Franchise Association. Her name appeared on 3 of the 5 tickets during that election. Those tickets were the Prohibition, Populist, and Independent. During World War I, Isabella volunteered for the Red Cross. She was responsible for furnishing comfort bags to departing soldiers. Comfort bags usually would include an inside strap that would hold sewing supplies. Such items as toiletries, dried foods, a razor, soap, toothbrush and toothpaste, knitted socks, writing paper, envelopes and writing utensil, and sometimes gum and tobacco were included within these comfort bags. Isabella A. Yocum passed away on the 3rd of April, 1928 at the age of 88 years old. A single paragraph in her obituary published in the Daily Record on April 4, 1928 sums up her benevolent life. Quote, "The passing of Mrs. Yocum has created a void that cannot be filled. Not only in her family, her church, and her community sustained an inestimable loss, but the far corners of the earth as well, for her interests and benevolences were worldwide."